for this awesome tournament. And without further ado, let's get it started. The man that's been called the foreign hope by many people, and deservedly so, considering his performance in this tournament and, of course, many, many others. The guy who has been on a ridiculous streak against Protoss, but was originally known for his ZVT. Hailing from Team Millennium and the country of France, in the blue trunks, playing Zerg to the south of Antigua Shipyard, it is Millennium Stefano! And his opponent, all the way from South Korea, from the team of TSL, the Super Cup champion, and fighting his way through the bracket from hell to make his way here and winning a lot of new fans in the process, deservedly so, showing exceptional TVZ performance, as well as pretty much every other matchup. He is in the red trunks, he is playing Terran to the south, indeed the north, never mind, we're upside down. It's the north, this isn't Australia, never mind. It is the one and only TSL Polt!
And will we see the assembly trend? For anybody that's followed each and every assembly event throughout, it's always been a Zerg player win.
Yep.
Beginning with Rhett last year, then into Damaga during the summer, closing with Idra at the Invitational. Now going into their fourth StarCraft 2 event, will we see Stefano take it for the Zergs once again, or will TSL Polt be the Terran player to win, and also the first Korean player to come to Assembly and take this tournament victory?
Definitely, and you've got to consider that he is perhaps one of the strongest, if not the strongest opponent to come in to challenge the Zerg players, and indeed the foreigners at this particular event. He is no slouch. He's performed so well in every matchup. His TVZ is great, as we saw against Lucky. TVP is great, and his TVT as well. It's crazy. He is incredibly good.
And what I'm so interested in seeing, and this is why I'm excited for this series, because when I watch Stefano play, it always feels like this guy either needs to do an all-in, or if he plays straight up, he dies. Against Polt, I can't say that anymore. He doesn't need to do an all-in. He can play straight up and very easily keep up with what Stefano can do. So that's the reason why I'm so excited for this series. We do see a couple of drones coming down here, loss of mining time to deal with the bunker, so a nice trade here by Polt, but he always likes to try and get it up anyway here, but Stefano does pick off the SCV there.
Yes, the bunker rushing, fake or no fake against Stefano, will only end one way. But as you said, it is designed to waste mining time. A single SCV picked off and a cancel, so not too shabby. And it will be a pretty standard opening right here from Polt. It is Reactor Hellion. And this can be a bit risky against Stefano, as we've seen from his games against Puma, where this flat out fell on its face. Stefano absolutely destroyed it.
Absolutely, and we'll see what happens this time around. How many links does Stefano make? Just the 4 links to begin with. Does have an Overlord sneaking around to a very nice position, and I feel over time, this position on the left here will be read better by Terran players and be like, all right, well, I'm not going to let him do that. And Stefano can't really take the Marines to the Overlord either, and does decide to go north, because around that side there, it actually can get hit by Marines, but Polt doesn't know it's there. We do have 2 Hellions coming out and 2 more as well. And then we also have the Marauder coming here. Did begin a Marine, but does want to open up safe, change his hit for the Marauder, as you need that Marauder just as a safety net, because if aggression does come, that Marauder just gives you that extra bonus against roaches, of course, and helps against banelings, and then you can easily continue production of them afterwards. Yep,
Spinecrawler already up, just complete as the Hellions land. Perfect timing, gets a hit off, but the point of these is, of course, to try and prevent creep spread. Maybe slip in, but against Stefano, it's extremely rare to see that happen, especially just on one factory.
And what we're not going to see here is, if you remember back to when Polt dismantled Lucky with this style, very, very much so here, Stefano never has that problem. He will always find a way to surround the links, if not force his opponent, bait his opponent to make mistakes with the Hellions. So we'll see how that does go down. The extra 2 adding up to a total of 6 Hellions now on the way. And once again, very standard Polt play here, just adding on the additional barracks, then straight into that starport, and then once those 2 medivacs out, he can start to pressure around. Meanwhile, Stefano has a decent amount of link. There's no, well, a decent amount, I say 20 links in production. He's going to shut down everything out there, and if Polt isn't careful, he will lose everything.
Yeah, he has to be very cautious. A couple of links come out there, but he's going to wait to try and get the flank on this one. Goes for the surround here, is not quite able to get it. He catches a couple of Hellions, but a lot of those links were actually destroyed. Thankfully, he's got plenty spare, so he doesn't need to concern himself with that. And that's the important thing, drive it out of there. Stefano adds an extra queen to catch the creep spread up.
Absolutely, and it's going to be very important, especially against the style we're going to see from Polt. We do have the first 2 medivacs about to be in production here. Overlord spread already kind of nice for Stefano, just guarding his main base, knowing that Polt is a very much so heavy medivac user, and then brings in tanks later on. And he doesn't obviously want to take any damage from drops. And Stefano isn't a player that we see even take damage from drops. He's very good at multitasking while defending and attacking and just getting ready for these drops. We do see the double evolution chamber for Stefano playing that usual style Ling Infester, taking the entire of the map, looking for opportunities that he can just shut down Polt.
Yep, a couple of Hellions get caught, but it doesn't really matter. There weren't quite enough links to deal with that. Stefano just keeps an eye out for any kind of craziness over there. A couple of medivacs now in play. +1 upgrade is started for Stefano on both the melee and, of course, the armor upgrade as well. A couple of Lings that managed to make their way up to the natural ramp but are easily destroyed. A solid defense there by Polt.
Yeah, he perked off about 3 Hellions there for the Lings, which is an okay kind of trade there. And we do have Stefano now. He is at 60 drones, which is more than enough for these 2 bases, making nothing but units, expecting this little push to come. And upon Polt watching Puma, he can easily say, all right, this guy's not going to go to lane, he's going to stay on Lings only. I don't need to get tanks that fast, because he will shut down any push. And I wouldn't be surprised, I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if he threw down a 3rd base, which he has, but I'll come back to that shortly as Polt does push towards this 3rd base.
Yep, he's able to push away the initial Ling Vanguard. Actually, the link count right now is distressingly low, and Polt's going to try and take that 3rd base. He may be able to do it. We need a few more Lings on the field. It's only 18 right now, which is nowhere near enough, and that 3rd is most likely going to go down in a nice little attack here by Polt. The Lings come in desperately trying to save it. He doesn't quite have enough to go up against that. He realizes it, and he's going to have to let it go, and that's a good, solid start there by Polt.
That's a very big win for Polt so far, and Stefano just not quite having the Lings out fast enough there. He did lose a lot of Lings when he killed those 3 Hellions, which is why he didn't have anything there, unfortunately, but that's a big win for Polt, but more of a mistake from Stefano there. And now let's go back to this 3rd command center. As I said, that he doesn't need to rush to get tanks out onto base against this style. Why does he need tanks when Marines and Medivacs are so good against Ling only? He only needs the tanks when the composition for Stefano gets more complicated. And in that time, he can easily build this 3rd base. And once again, we see Polt picking up whenever he is at a losing fight.
Yeah, the Ling-only style without Infester simply doesn't work against this. These are far too efficient. It takes too long to kill Marines. You can't really get the surface area, and the Medivacs just keep them alive. And you've got the option of just lifting up immediately and getting the hell out of there. So Stefano will add the Infestors. They're on their way. And in the meantime, Polt continues the pressure. A cheeky attempt to get that hatchery up is immediately cancelled. And funnily enough, we're seeing the same thing that Stefano does to Protoss players. Like, you cannot have a 3rd base.
Yeah, and Stefano has, or had to double expand there, down in the bottom left as well, so that may actually be a bit of an illusion for Polt, maybe expecting that, oh great, I denied the 3rd base again, fantastic, but in reality, there is that base down in the bottom left here. Stefano running Lings, sees SCVs moving towards the 3rd base, tries to poke up, but gets shut down immediately, but already knows that that 3rd base is there. Are we going to see a really big push? But what we do see from Stefano is he's gone to hive really fast here, a lot faster than usually expected, and this may catch Polt off guard as he has no idea what's really going on. And at the same time, I was going to say, maybe now is the time that Stefano can launch a big assault towards that natural 3rd base area, understanding that that is a pretty fast 3rd base. The army supply is okay, but it's not really big. There's a lot of units out of position, and with Infestors and Fungal Growth, if the Marines aren't spread, he could do a lot of damage here. But we do see a Medivac in the left-hand side immediately spotted by a single Marine, and Stefano, man, he will not get dropped.
No, he won't. He is very difficult to drop effectively. It generally gets picked up incredibly fast. There's always lings, banelings, or infestors waiting for it. And one of his strengths is the fact that he doesn't get surprised. He's all over the place, all the time. And Polt has decided, actually, and this is a nice thing to do, to empty out this medevac so that perhaps a lot of fungals end up getting wasted here and it doesn't kill the 8 Marines that are in the corner.
It's also a mind game, too, because Stefano may now not leave anything there, being like, oh, great. Kill the 8 Marines, good.
Yep.
That's really good. That was easy. And then all of a sudden, the Marines are still there, but look at Stefano. He's like, not going to work on me. But going back to what Stefano is doing is, he did decide to throw down the Ultralisk Cavern in the main and was like, no, actually no, and puts it on the natural. So if Polt did scan the main and saw the hive, he wouldn't really know what Stefano was doing behind there. So smart decision from Stefano to hide that. The Marines do get cut down on the left-hand side now, and Stefano, like he said, is trying to go for these Ultralisks, which is going to be a humongous surprise for Polt, who has no idea about it, but he is pushing towards this base in the south side, which he definitely does know about.
Oh yes, he's going for that. And you know, something that I like about Stefano is, if you notice the way that he builds Ultralisks, like maybe 2, 3 at a time, he never goes up for a massive money dump into Ultras, which seems to lose every time anyone does it. He just adds them on as he feels that he needs them, and he doesn't add on any more than is absolutely necessary.
And I really do like the fact that Polt is adding in Marauders, even though he doesn't know what's coming, because it's just kind of, all right, I've got a few. And it's not a bad thing not to have some, and it's worse if you don't have any, and it does hit you by surprise. So I do like that.
Speaking of surprise,
look at this. This is the surprise for Polt.
Yeah, we've got this big spread across there to try and take on the 4th base of Stefano, but in the meantime, he's going to try and take the 3rd out, as well as ravaging the mineral line of Polt. In the meantime, he comes back and gets caught out by a fungal growth. A 2nd fungal, it's a good one. A 3rd on the right flank here, losing 1 infestor. Needs to be a little bit careful, but he's doing a lot of damage. Zerglings now trying to work their way through the natural. They have gutted the mineral line of the 3rd here very effectively.
Very, very nice.
Oh my God, look at how much damage that does. Good God. That's what happens. That is what happens when you have +2/+2 and you've worn your opponent down sufficiently with fungal growth. You can decimate his army, and that's exactly what he was able to do. The Ultralisk comes in there, and Stefano loses a couple of infestors. Not necessary. Would have been nice if he had Burrow there, but he's done good damage.
Yeah, and I don't know what's happened to this +2 armor from Polt. It's just not even being constructed. And
no.
Polt's army was down at the south side, and Stefano's like, all right, take that base. I'm going to gut your 3rd base mineral line. He killed 18 SCVs and cut down the army. And here's a surprise for Polt as he scans and sees the Ultralisks. And they're about to be fully upgraded. Well, at least the +2 armor's going to kick in, soon to be fully upgraded. But still, the army for Stefano is looking pretty good. Even though it's not that big, with the extra units about to pop out, he'll be able to crush what Polt has. Yeah,
and he's going to most likely be fighting on creep as well. Any attempt to push towards the 3rd is going to be creeped up to the max, and he'll get a lot of maneuverability and be able to get a good angle, and he thinks he's got one. He finds a tank undeployed there. There's a bunch deployed, but they get decimated incredibly rapidly. He picks off all the tanks in the center here. The Ultras now charge up through the right flank, and Infested Terrans landing in as well. He's coming in from all sides. This initial force is going to get smashed.
Oh, really good play there by Stefano, cleaning up, but reinforcements from Polt are coming. Stefano, does he have enough just to tip the edge in his favor? The medivacs are healing and stuff. Nothing's been kited. A tank is there as well. This is very, very close here.
Yeah, it really, really is. The supply count for both army size-wise is getting very low. They both just tore chunks out of each other. The final Ultralisk will fall. The reinforcements that are there are not enough to take that 3rd base out. And Stefano holds it and does a lot of damage to Polt.
He does, and Stefano goes in again, smelling a bit more weakness, especially as his upgrades are now about to be completed. More Ultras are in the making, but Stefano is just shredding these Marines one at a time and pushing more and more deeper into Polt's line.
It's pretty damn good, by the way, and he's demonstrating it right now. +3, about to kick in, and it's going to be 3/3 lings against 2/1 everything else. The tanks only have a +1 as well. That's crazy. That's incredibly dangerous. And if we look at units lost, resources-wise, it's 20 resources in it, but Stefano's mined a lot more throughout this game.
Absolutely, and he's going on the assault once again. TotalBiscuit towards that natural, not the best area to engage. He will lose in not a great ratio, but will Polt have enough?
Oh, well, I mean, that Ultralisk has something to say about that. It's going to cleave through one, it's going to cleave through another. It's having none of this nonsense. It's going up the line, chasing down those Marines, who will also be locked in. And finally, Stefano makes his way with a small force into the natural.
Nothing but units have been making. Just from the start of this push started just by Stefano's natural, and now all of a sudden it's on Polt's natural.
It's in the third
and
as well.
It's just been coming, and now Polt is on the back once again. No third base. The income TotalBiscuit has dropped considerably.
Its supply is falling like a rock as well. Oh, it's raining men. Hallelujah. Down goes the tank. GG.